Please welcome to the stage the Executive Director of Jpmorgan Chase, Dave Walsh.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of all Jpmorgan Chase employees, I'm excited to welcome everyone to CHPC's symposium on exploring innovative practices and technologies to enhance the quality of life and safety of basement apartments. Jpmorgan Chase is proud to be a sponsor of today's event, as well as a supporter of CHPC's research and discoveries that you'll hear more about today. At Jpmorgan Chase, we believe one of the most significant challenges facing our communities today is the need for increased economic opportunity. The vast majority of the firm's philanthropic work is now being used on driving inclusive growth through the support of stronger workforce systems, increased financial capability, neighborhood revitalization, and small business development. All the above are not unique to New York City homeowners, where folks in all boroughs are concerned about gentrification, displacement, and foreclosure. That's why today's conversation is so important and CHPC's work so critical to the future of housing and neighborhood preservation. As you'll hear about, as part of CHPC's research, the team discovered there are anywhere between 10 to 38,000 basement units in single-family homes scattered throughout New York City. The units themselves tend to be in low to moderate income neighborhoods where there's traditionally been a shortage of safe, secure, and affordable housing. By reforming present-day building codes and establishing certain standards for allowing basement rentals, homeowners could be assisted in helping to legally provide their basement space apartments, which in turn would help address the lack of affordable housing in the city. In addition to seeing this as an opportunity to help provide homeowners with a chance to monetize their most valuable asset, their home, we also think it represents an opportunity to rethink, retest, and learn new approaches that would impact the lives of New York City residents. Creating lasting impact in the communities where we live and work is critical to the work we do at Jpmorgan Chase. We believe in innovation and that our philanthropic dollars can and should be used to serve the greater good by creating a more inclusive community. We look forward to the day together and the partnership moving forward. Thank you.
Please welcome the Executive Director of CHPC, Jessica Katz.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jessica Katz. I'm the Executive Director of the Citizens Housing and Planning Council. Thank you all so much for being here today. Special thanks to our lead sponsor, Jpmorgan Chase. David Walsh and Michael George Johnson have been huge supporters, and we're so grateful for your leadership. The Revson Foundation, Capital One, and Deutsche Bank have also provided early and ongoing support to our basements work, and we're happy to have you here with us today as well. Everybody who's on the CHPC board or on the CHPC Basements Committee, can you please all stand up? Thank you so much. I've got this one. I've got James Colgate over here. Thank you so much. And a huge round of applause for Kate Leach and the rest of the CHPC staff for putting this event together today. Thank you so much. Since our founding in 1937, CHPC has shaped housing and planning policies to help the city's housing stock better meet the needs of its residents. Today, those needs are most pressing among the low-income New Yorkers who are struggling to pay their rent or their mortgage, among the 60,000 individuals who are homeless, and the hundreds of thousands more who rely on the informal housing market to access apartment they can afford. For more than a decade, through our Making Room initiative, CHPC has advocated for policies that help make our housing stock better meet the diverse needs of New York City residents. Our basements research is an extension of that effort. The truth is, New Yorkers are living in basement apartments whether we like it or not. So we have a responsibility to make them safer and more habitable. Furthermore, the affordability crisis in the city means that it is critical to explore new options to create more housing and more affordable housing. Better basements could be part of that equation. In 2015, CHPC estimated that 10,000 to 38,000 basement apartments in single-family homes could be converted into apartments across the 5 boroughs. If converted, these apartments could increase the rental supply, help homeowners become more financially stable, and offer more diverse housing options without adding any more height or bulk. Following the supply analysis, CHPC created an interactive map published recommendations for a basements pilot in our hidden housing report, and created an array of technical tools to educate, to elucidate the regulatory challenges around basement apartments. Since CHPC's report was published, and in response to the advocacy of many of you here in this room, HPD now has a pilot in the works that aims to convert basement apartments in East New York. Legislation is pending in the City Council that will provide some of the regulatory relief needed in order to facilitate better basement apartments, and we hope today's discussion leaves you all with some new ideas about how to do just that. On behalf of the CHPC team, I want to thank all of you here today, most of all the advocates who are on the ground every day pushing this discussion forward. My job is to make sure that CHPC's work is helpful to you and advances the cause. Advancing basement conversion policy is difficult because the topic somehow manages to be both boring and controversial at the same time. It requires a staggering diversity of experts to push the conversation forward. On the stage today, you will find people who have spent their careers in community organizing, firefighters, elected officials, financiers, researchers, and entrepreneurs who specialize in paint, plastic, and atomized mist, just to name a few. Basement apartment skeptics express concern that proponents want to loosen regulations or legalize existing basement conditions. In fact, there is wide agreement that it is imperative to provide affordable apartments that are, above all, safe and habitable. We are here today to debate ways that we can enhance the safety and quality of life in these units and look thoughtfully at the code to ensure that it achieves the underlying intent. Today, we're excited to have a global team of experts and innovators to present new practices and technologies to help make basements safer and more habitable. Before we get started, I'd like to invite Annetta Cicerin to give brief remarks. Annetta is the Executive Director of CHIA CDC, one of the amazing advocates whose hard work has made a material impact for its constituents. Annetta.
Good morning. Thank you, Jessica, and thank you to the CHPC team for everything that you do to support us advocates on the ground. So I'm here to bring you the perspective from the ground, or shall we say the underground. Often when we hear the word basement, we think dark, damp, dirty, unsafe, inhabitable, and just illegal and poor. It's just all negative. But basements, and we see every day in the work that we do at CHIA, that basements are homes for many New Yorkers, thousands and thousands of New Yorkers. And there's an estimate that it's well over 100,000. It's like any other home. It's where people rest their heads, they prepare their meals, they raise their families, they dream, they fight, they love. And so I really want to bring that context to you today, just to remind us all that when we talk about basements and all the legal frameworks and all the technical stuff, that we are really talking about the home of thousands of individuals in this city. So, as Jessica said, basements are controversial, right? But yet they remain such an important source of housing for so many. So why? Why is that? They are affordable. They are in neighborhoods where people can get to work easily. They are in neighborhoods where people can access culturally appropriate services. They are in places where there's a sense of community. For the community that we serve, the immigrant community, many of them find their first home in this city in a basement apartment. And it's often where immigrant families house, new relatives arriving in this country. I mean, I've seen that personally in my family. But so basements are not just somebody's home, but you also heard in Jessica's remarks and in David's remarks that basement apartments are also an important source of income for many families, and we need to remember that as well as we have these discussions. Often, these are cash-poor families. They are living on fixed income, and they are relying on their basement income to pay bills, sometimes even to supplement their mortgage payments, etc. We also know that in some parts of Queens that family members' inability to garner income from basement apartments due to fines often were tied to their foreclosure problems. So it's really, I really want to sort of, remind us all that it's truly an important source of income for low to moderate income folks in the city. I want to draw your attention to the Richmond Hill Ozone Park community, where Chaya has just opened up a new office, and it's an important community that we serve that is largely comprised of South Asians and Indo-Caribbeans, and it was in fact one of the areas that was heavily impacted by the foreclosure crisis. But both of these districts have the highest reports of illegal basement usage citywide. And so what this means is that this community actually bears a disproportionate burden of crippling fines and displacement that come from these reports. And so for us at Chaya, and for many of us on the ground, organizing and working with these communities, we see an incredible urgency to get to a solution. So, at Chaya, we very much care about the housing crisis and about affordability and about stability, but we also care about the economic well-being of families and community members. And so, for us, reminding ourselves and keeping it central, the holistic importance of basement apartments, not just for the tenants, but also for the homeowners, is really critical. We always use this example that instead of 60 households paying rents to one landlord, with legalization of basement apartments, 60 households can pay rents to 60 landlords, and thereby, I think, dispersing wealth across the communities, reducing the wealth inequality that happens when there's concentrated wealth, when the tenants are giving to one single landlord. And so in a way, it decentralizes the creation of affordable housing. And so we really see this as like a low-hanging fruit in addressing the affordable housing crisis. So our call to action is that as we think about all the technicalities, all the codes, and today in particular the new technologies such as lighting, air quality, fire safety, ceiling heights, paint, etc., that we remind ourselves that really what we're talking about, the home of people and the livelihood of many individuals. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Aneta. So we're kicking off today with a discussion around light and the role it plays in habitability. Our building code currently mandates that a basement apartment must contain a window that's twice the size of what's required for egress purposes. But as anyone who's ever lived in a New York City apartment that faces a blank brick wall can tell you, the window size alone doesn't guarantee any particular amount of light will come into your apartment. So to help us analyze this issue, we invited panelists with provocative ideas and who may or may not agree with each other. We'll hear from one expert who argues that daylight is essential and another who believes that electric light is just as good. So when we think about what makes basement apartments okay or not to live in, what do we really mean by habitability? Following the presentations, our policymaker panelists will engage in experts and dialogue of what these ideas mean for basements. We're going to do a quick coffee break around 11 and then come back for a session on air quality and fire safety. There's going to be CHPC staffers coming up and down the aisles with index cards. If you have any questions, just flag them down and write it down on the index card. And please welcome to the stage our policymaker panelists. We have Councilmember Brad Lander is here. Come on up. Matt Murphy, the Deputy Commissioner for Policy and Strategy. On this side. Thank you. Tony Shatemi, founder of Urban Architectural Initiatives. And welcome our presenters, please. We have Star Davis, the head of lighting at WeWork. Robert Solar, the VP of Human Biological Technology and Research at BIOS Lighting. Daniel Frering and Jennifer Bronze from the Lighting Research Center at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, and Graham Jacobs, Director of Limitless in the UK.